Hello, welcome to the People Profit Podcast, the show where we flip the script on traditional business thinking and prove that when you put people first, profits follow. I'm Sandra Coker, your guide on this journey to more engaged teams, loyal customers, and a healthier bottom line. These episodes are brought to you by Human Power Solutions, helping organizations unlock the human potential that powers performance. Whether you're a leader, an HR pro, or a curious change maker, buckle up. We're diving into fresh stories, real-world strategies, and a few laughs along the way. Ready to turn your workplace into a profit-powered people machine? Let's get started. Welcome back to the People Profit Podcast, the show that's based on the national bestseller People Profit, How to Improve Your Bottom Line by Investing in Those Above It. I'm your host, Sandra Coker, CEO of Human Power Solutions, where we help organizations build cultures where every individual optimizes their potential. Today, we are going deep on reinvention. It's not just a buzzword, but as a leadership superpower that transforms team dynamics, decision-making, emotional intelligence, and organizational success. Our guest today, I'm so thrilled to have, he is a force of nature, Craig Siegel. He's a CEO of Cultivate Lasting Symphony, CLS, Wall Street Journal and USA Today best-selling author of The Reinvention Formula. He's also a marathoner, global keynote speaker, and one of the most sought-after coaches on the planet. Craig left a lucrative Wall Street career because it just wasn't enough. He was called to something bigger. Now he's building a movement that helps people break self-imposed limits and live with unapologetic purpose. I truly believe that Craig is the next Jim Rohn of this generation. Timeless wisdom delivered with fire for the world that needs it now more than ever. Craig, welcome to the show.
Should we just drop the mic? that was incredible. First of all, I receive all of that. I really appreciate that. It's a really nice comparison. And I've been looking forward to this ever since we connected. We've had the chance to speak a little bit offline. I love what you're up to in the world. I think it's very needed. And only you can do it the way that you are. And I'm very excited to be here. So let's have some fun.
I mentioned Jim Rohn because I saw Tony Robbins in 1993, and it was impactful for me, but I didn't realize how impactful it was for me back in those days. And I feel like people, and Jim Rohn was big. I used to sell Herbalife for 12 years, and he was Mark's mentor, the gentleman that found Herbalife. So I saw Jim Rohn several times. Again, not really understanding the impact. And I look at you and I think as people are getting to know you more, this next generation that's coming up, what you're offering is that purpose, that movement. And so I was just thrilled to be able to connect with you today. So thanks for being here.
My pleasure. I appreciate you saying that once again. And let's have some fun. Let's go deep today, really deep.
Yeah. So I'd like to start at the beginning. Most people out there would kill for a Wall Street career, the money, the status, the security, but you walked away. What was the moment that you realized that wasn't it for you? And how did that spiritual awakening lead to the birth of CLS?
I think it's interesting because different people give different meanings to different words. So for example, you just said the word security. And I imagine when people hear that word, most people might think financial security.
Yeah.
Right. But at what cost? So for me, when I graduated college, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do with my life. I wasn't as nearly as ambitious as I am now, but I had spurts that showed that when I was excited about something, I could be really into it. I just didn't know what it was. And then came home after college and I was butting heads with my mom a little bit. I'm like, all right, I got to start my life here. And so I was infatuated with stocks and I lived in New York. So I went and got a job on Wall Street, but big life moment. I also at the same time stumbled upon personal development. I didn't know what it was up until then.
Yeah.
I thought that the way that we are, luck of the draw, genetics, and it is what it is. But I was so fascinated when I started studying NLP and watching YouTube videos of Tony and Dean and ET and a bunch of people that are now my friends, that you can actually expand yourself. And so I was just so fascinated and blown away by that. And I utilized those tools that I was learning to become, quote unquote, very successful on Wall Street in relationships, raising money and different things. And Wall Street was a lot of fun at the time. And I started to become a man. I learned things like discipline, focus, commitment. They were beautiful. But ultimately, the arena that is Wall Street began to become misaligned for me. As
Mm-hmm.
I began to just dabble with raising my consciousness and shifting my energy, the energy that's tied to Wall Street is a lot of ego, big
Yeah.
ego driven, a lot of what's in it for me, transactional. And at some point, as I began to grow, I no longer felt connected to that. I rose to the top of my company and became the top producer there, and I was having a good run. But when I started to become misaligned, I made the choice to leave that particular industry, but still stay in the finance world and
Yep.
start my own company. And the company I started was basically we would raise money and give working capital or loans to businesses across the country. Now, theoretically, that sounds lovely, but because it wasn't really credit based, a lot of the loans and the working capital was high interest.
Yeah.
And it's a very popular industry. I was doing very well, a little bit less stress. But ultimately, I began to ask myself, because I think there's such power in staying in the question. I think the answers are limiting. Is this really why I'm here? And
Right.
when I began to ask, I began to receive downloads, and I knew that the answer was no. And so I knew that there was something much more for me out there, but I wasn't able, or I didn't take the time to really put it together. And between not loving what I did and my personal life beginning to unravel, I began to become very disconnected to what I was doing. And eventually I hit a rock bottom right before the pandemic. That was a lot. Maybe I just put a pin in it there because you asked me when did I begin to realize
Yeah.
that I knew that there was something more. So it was maybe a year right before the pandemic is when everything came to a rock bottom for me.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard when life kind of hits you like that. And you've got the success, you've got everything on the outside that just looks so perfect. And inside, you're dying inside. Like it's
I
a
was
slow death.
suffocating, actually. I felt like I was
Yeah.
suffocating.
And for people that are listening to this, and I really are this our audience, we're shooting for the young up and coming leaders, the people that are coming up into our companies. We want to help them create their lives for themselves that are good. How do you recognize when it's time to, like, the golden handcuffs aren't so golden and there's more to life? How do people recognize that? What are some of the things that you looked at?
Oftentimes you feel things in your head, which is more ego and logical, practical, and reasonable, which I think is so overrated. And then you feel things in your heart and your soul. And those are the things that you really want to turn the volume up to. If you begin to feel like, I really don't love what I'm doing, it pays the bills, it's fine, but I feel like deep down, if I'm being brutally honest with myself, that I might be settling, then there's your feedback right there. That's easy to honestly to be able to assess that. The difficult part is actually having the willingness to do something about it. And that requires a lot of courage.
And I think things like health benefits and 401ks and all of those kinds of things that kind of, or they're,
Logical. Yeah,
yeah, they're
being
helping pay off your
practical.
student loans. It's hard to walk away. And yeah,
It's also harder
so
to stay there and be miserable.
believe me, I get that. I do get that for sure. So so the reinvention formula, I'm going to show it again because
It looks good
it's
in your
funny.
hands.
Yeah, I have it right here. Yeah. Are you kidding? I guess.
Love it.
I about a month ago, after the mastermind, I decided to set some boundaries for myself. So from 7 p.m. to bedtime, I don't have any screens, no TV, no phone, nothing. And I was looking for a way to just ground myself because I'm like, I don't have time to read or whatever the case may be. And over the last month, I've read more books than you could ever imagine. And yours was one of them, not only to prep for this, but also just it lit a little bit of a fire in me for things. And you talk a lot in this book about this clarity, this worthiness, passion, action, all of that is in your book. And how do you look at, I want to look at three things from the book: clarity, worthiness, and passion. So can you walk us through how people, leaders, however they can, how can they gain clarity and how can they help themselves feel worthy? Because imposter syndrome is real. whether you're a man or a woman. Women seem to talk about it more than men do, but I think it goes both ways. And then how do you ignite passion? How do you help people ignite passion? Can you talk about those three things for me?
Yeah, so that's a lot of nuggets right
I know,
there.
it
The
is.
first thing that comes in no specific order, I think worthiness is overrated. I would encourage people to understand that the universe, God, creator, whatever's good for you, doesn't require your worthiness. It
Mm.
requires your willingness. And if you're willing, we can build the worthiness. That
Yeah.
comes after, just like confidence, right? First, you start with a commitment, right? It takes a little bit of courage, and then you begin to cultivate confidence. You don't wait to feel worthy. You decide that you're ready right now, right? Ready is not a feeling, it's a decision. In regards to clarity, so two things come to mind. I want to answer your question specifically in two ways. Number one, for anyone that's just looking for clarity as a big general subject, if you were to build a skyscraper, I say that because I'm in New York City and there's skyscrapers everywhere. You don't just go up, right? First, you go down, you go deeper, and you build the
Yeah.
foundation, and then you build on top of it. So if you want to go higher, you got to go deeper. So you got to be able to have some sort of spiritual practice, whether that's connecting with Creator, meditating, praying, quiet time, whatever's good for you. But I just want to be very clear: thinking big is not a one-time spark. It's a
Mhm.
daily, spiritual, consistent discipline. So for me, that's connecting with Creator, and I receive downloads. And having access to divine inspiration might be the greatest thing that you can ever accomplish. Because when you have that type of access, which by the way is unlimited, and I really don't think people understand how unlimited the unlimited is, when you can get quiet and really connect, you have access to totally different levels of awareness. And from that, you have a new identity, different levels of resourcefulness, and everything in between. Now, that's just general. So anyone that's I want to get more clarity, get quiet and connect. Whatever that
Mm.
is for you, source, God, creator, divine, Jesus, Hanukkah, Harry, whatever your thing is. The second thing I would say, you didn't say this, but I feel like there's a lot of upcoming entrepreneurs and business leaders in your audience.
Yeah.
So for those people that are like, I know that I'm here for something more, but I'm not sure what it is, and I'm waiting for clarity. Here's something tangible that you could do, and we talk about this in the reinvention formula. You can create a Venn diagram. So on one bubble, on one circle, is all the things that you know that you're skilled at, that you're good at. On the other side are all the things that you actually really love, like you would do for free. You can't get enough of it. You're your passions.
Yeah.
The middle bubble, something's going to have some crossover where you find something that you're good at and you actually love. That's clarity. Now,
Mm.
you have to be willing to try some new things because I really believe that major clarity follows action. So once you begin to get an idea of a trajectory, you have to be willing to get in the damn arena.
I love that. And that's so, it's tactical, right? So it's just, it's something that you actually do and put into practice. That's awesome. Is there, can you share? We love stories. We love to hear real life stories. Is there a real life story of someone's life that just changed when they started to embrace some of these philosophies and these tools that you provide?
Yeah, I can give you countless testimonials. And even we just had our live event last week, the Portal New
Yeah.
York City. It was amazing. It was unbelievable. So much goes into those things. And this will be the first time I talk about this publicly, but we did an event like no one's ever quite experienced before. I'm not saying it's better than anyone else. What I'm saying is the level of consciousness and the correct souls in the room is
Mhm.
priority. And
Right.
so we had an event in May. It was awesome, but we really want to take it to a whole nother level. So we doubled in size. We just had a little bit over 100 people. The next one is March 5th. We're very excited about it. It's a sequel to The Portal. And so we're building out, like, picture like a big franchise, like a movie that you might love. Each one is going to be somewhat connected to the second one. And if you follow the storylines, you're going to go through a whole transformational journey. Each one
Mhm.
will have different characters and different plots and so forth. And so the whole idea of The Portal was that the portal is not a place, it's not even the room. The portal is you. For everybody listening right now, it's the gap between potential and realization, potential and manifestation. And we bridge that gap two ways: embodiment and a decision. A decision that you're done dimming your light, a decision that playing small is spiritually irresponsible. And so at the portal, one of our speakers is one of my clients, beautiful human being. Her name is Ashley. She is beyond quote unquote successful in real life. She's amassed levels of wealth that most people couldn't fathom. But when
Mhm.
she came to me, she wanted to do something different. She was fed up with the way that education is taught in the K through 12 system. And she really wants to change the entire curriculum. Now, that's a big, bold desire.
Yeah.
I love big, bold desires. I like to work with people that have a big vessel that really have a capacity to want to change the world, especially on an intimate basis. So we started working together over the last 6 months, and she had no social media following, no like fancy credentials online or anything like that, just a successful background. But essentially, she was starting from scratch here. We
Yeah.
started putting out content and building a movement around education and why the system isn't effective right now, what we can do better. And she's gathered so much momentum that she's gone viral. In her state of Texas, they asked her to run for Congress. That's how much momentum she has. She respectfully declined because we feel like we can make a bigger impact building the movement as opposed to being limited to that.
Right.
And so she had no idea what was possible, but it takes sometimes just one person to really believe and then create that vessel for the idea. And then the how, which I think is a little overrated, the strategies will
Yeah.
come to us, not a problem. So that's just one example of somebody who needed a little bit of clarity and with the right direction isn't just having momentum, but she's currently in the midst of actually changing the world. And those
I
are the stories that really excite me.
I love that. That's a phenomenal story. As a grandmother of two who are in fourth and second grade right now, it needs changing. So I'm all for it. I'm going to follow her.
I still can't believe that you're a grandma.
I know. As we talk about the workplace and we think about CLS and the CLS way, and when we think about how the leadership philosophy drives employee experience and organizational success, when I think about these leaders that are up and coming, that are in these organizations that maybe aren't going to go into an entrepreneur because it's not for everybody. But they like what they do. When we talk about your lens of team dynamics, so you built a global community at CLS. What's one counterintuitive, like strict team building strategy that you use that most companies miss? Like what's missing in companies? I could go on because that's what we do, but what do you think is missing in companies in building?
When you say team dynamics, you mean like the CLS team and culture?
Yeah. So what's some of the strategy that you use there that maybe a young leader could bring into for building a team and for building their culture within their organization? What is
Yeah. So a couple things that come to mind. First of all, never ask somebody to do something that you're not willing to do yourself. So that's not to say that you shouldn't be able to delegate, especially as you grow, but always be willing to get in the trenches if need be to help out a teammate. Allowing team members and culture to feel seen, to be able to encourage them to share their ideas. That's what I want. I don't want to be surrounded by yes people,
yeah.
respectfully. I want to be surrounded by people that bring and feel called to share ideas that are in alignment with the vision. Now, that's not to
Mm.
say I will love every single one, but I would rather tell someone, good idea, not right now, than, hey, do you have anything that you'd like to share? So I think in this day and age, the entire workplace has changed. Even just look at like working from home right now. It's if you're required to go into the office 3 days a week, you like roll your eyes. For
Yeah.
me, to come from a time where Monday through Friday, non negotiable. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So I just think that times have changed. You have to evolve with it. But most importantly, from my experience, teammates want to feel seen, heard, and feel like they really contribute in some capacity. So you
Yeah.
have to be willing to allow them that flexibility to be able to really shine their light. And like I said, it doesn't mean that you're going to like it every single time, but at least they have the opportunity to shine because they could be good at doing something, but if it doesn't really move them, if it
Mm.
doesn't scratch the itch of them being creative, nowadays, I think I've done a lot of research. People don't even stay at companies long, which is sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in order to prevent that, if you really want to build an army to grow with and change the world and have a culture, then you have to allow them room to grow in ways that are in alignment with who they want to become.
Yeah. And that's something that we do with our company is we talk to the leadership team about what kind of professional development they want to do with their teams. And I'm like, it's not up to you. Here's the survey to send to your teams. What do they need? What do they want? Yeah, this isn't that we bottom up philosophy, right? Is that's how you're going to retain your people. And I think that's huge, listening to what they have to say.
Running a business is hard. Developing your people shouldn't be. At Human Power Solutions, we act as your outsourced chief learning officer, designing custom learning and development experiences that actually move the needle. No fluff, no cookie cutter workshops, just results. Whether your people need better communication, stronger leadership, or less burnout, we provide strategic solutions that align with your goals and keep your team moving forward. Visit hpowersolutions.com and unlock your team's full potential without disrupting operations.
I really want to talk about your marathons. You run multiple marathons. Just recently, you ran Chicago. And from my experience, between mile 18 and mile 20 of the marathon is just brutal, right? And so there's a mindset that you have to get past that point pretty much, especially if you're injured, to finish. What do you think that mindset is, and how can leaders embrace that mindset when things aren't going as well as they wanted it to towards the end of a project or whatever that is? What do they have to draw upon?
I've really been connecting to this idea recently that if you want an easier life, you have to have a more uncomfortable life. And I know that might sound contradictory, but the more willing you are to be doing uncomfortable things and being patient, sitting in the discomfort and doing hard things, the easier life ends up becoming. But most people avoid the discomfort at every cost. And what happens? They have a very hard life as a result. So marathons specifically, when I found marathons, it was right at the end of that rock bottom season that I shared with you earlier. And the marathon was such a beautiful beacon for me to connect to start to climb my way out and just become a better soul, right? Because what does it really take to run 26.2 miles? And I say this very respectfully. I don't just mean walk a marathon and say you did it, but do a good job. So to do that, you have to be disciplined, you have to be consistent, you have to dial in your nutrition, cut out the booze. There's just certain things that you have to do to level up. And so that's why I fell in love with it in the first place. I think the marathon is just the ultimate metaphor for life. Now, specifically, it's interesting because we just ran Chicago 2 weeks ago. It was a beautiful butt kicking for me. I had to deal with a very frustrating groin injury at mile 8. And so forget about mile 18.
Mile 8? I didn't realize it happened that early.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
so I knew right then and there that it was going to be a long day at the office.
Yeah.
I had, after that, another 18 miles to go through hell, essentially. Yeah. So there were moments in the race where I would become unbothered and I would really be able to cruise. And I had some of the fastest late race miles I ever had, but then it would come back and I just had to navigate it. So when it was all said and done, still ran a pretty good time. I think most people consider it a 3:34. For me, I like to say we're not most people. It was the first time in about 5-6 years where I entered the arena and I didn't improve. Like it wasn't my best time. That's okay. In fact, having some time to marinate on the experience, I actually think was my favorite one of all 9 because of all the adversity that we had to overcome throughout the process. And only through adversity and challenges can you grow. And so what a metaphor for life, because life isn't about happiness, because if you're always chasing happiness, what happens if you're not happy? Are you a failure at certain moments? But I think it is about growth. We're always growing. So look for things that create growth and expansion. And so the marathon is no different. And typically, most people hit that wall at mile 18 and the New York City Marathon is this week. I'm so pumped, if I'm being honest with you, just to be a spectator, because I've been running for the last few years. I have a bunch of friends running. I'm going to go out there and cheer like a lunatic. I'm so pumped for them. It's a great day in the city. But when you begin to feel the opponent, as we say in the wisdom of Kabbalah, come in and he's all over you and he's convincing you, play small, step aside, you have nothing left to prove, hell of a run, you can get off now or just walk a little bit. You have to understand what the opponent really is, whether it's a marathon or in life. It's a negative force with a positive purpose because it allows you the opportunity to overcome it. And as long as you're physically able to put one foot in front of the other, you better overcome and beat the opponent. And if you can do that in the marathon, and if you can do that in life, you can have a very meaningful, prosperous, and fulfilling life.
That's amazing. It's so true. When I talked to some colleagues and some friends that I was going to run Boston, they were like, "You're older now." Like my first one was in my 40s, right? I did New York, and it was painful. Like I stepped in a pothole at mile 18 and twisted my knee, and we crawled. Like it was crawl to the finish line, but it was 6.5 hours. I'm like, I don't care. We're finishing this race. Yeah. And it was awful. And then the following year I did Hartford, and I did a new methodology. It was all good. But thinking about coming back into training 15 years later, I'm like, it's fine. Like, I already know what it's like. I've done it before. And I think so many times people stop when it gets hard and they grab a cab and go home. And if you crawl or whatever it is to finish, then you know that you can do anything that you set your mind to. And I think a
new frame of reference, or you raise your energetic set point. So now you have a bigger capacity to receive blessings and miracles moving forward. So kudos to you for finishing that. And I have a feeling that the next one that you do, and I know that you just signed up for one or about to, is actually going to be your best because of all the wisdom and experience. And you know what to do now. You've been there before. It's a different energy.
Yeah, it's exciting too. It gives you new purpose. But I love it.
Real quickly, I just want to say about life, because so many people, especially entrepreneurs and people that listen to your awesome content, they like to retreat when things get hard.
Yes.
But what if we knew only when things get hard do we actually have the opportunity for a quantum leap? Then would you not be seeking out hard things?
Yeah. My philosophy is when you feel like you need to stop, that's when you keep going. Because whatever's on the other side is worth it. And like you said, that the demon or whatever that is, that negative influence is telling you no. And
the demon, I like that. I said the demon works nicely.
Yeah. You talk a lot about, when I saw you speak at a mastermind a couple of weeks ago, you always talked about not playing it safe. Don't play small. It's irresponsible. How does playing it safe kill innovation?
Playing it safe is basically spiritually irresponsible because we signed a soul contract before we came here that we were going to share the gifts that were given to us with the world in some capacity and make a difference. I believe that wholeheartedly. So if you're not sharing your gifts in some way and you're just playing it safe, then you're basically breaking the contract that you made with Creator. I believe that wholeheartedly. And that's a little drastic, but playing small is canceled. Like there's no growth, fulfillment, or fun in playing it safe. And if you're going to take some big swings, you might fall on your butt. You might strike out a couple times, but that's part of the journey. That's part of the beauty, right? But playing it safe, you don't even take a swing. I don't see how you can consider that a successful life. And again, not everyone has to be a celebrity or a public speaker or anything like that, but go big with whatever big is for you. There's only a finite amount of time in this particular carnation. I don't know about you, but when I get to the end, I want to know that I really shook things up, left some sort of mark. I did something that helped the world in some capacity, and I'm exhausted because I really gave it everything I got. And that's the idea of this human experience, right? So playing it small, playing it safe, I'm not sure there's more of a pet peeve for me. And just to be clear, guys, like I played it safe. I played it small for quite some time. So I speak with contrast. When I was on Wall Street, towards the end, I was playing it safe because it's what I knew. But what was the cost? My soul. So every day I'd wake up when I was out of alignment, my soul was actually contracting as opposed to expanding. So forget about the mark that you're making on the world by playing it a little bit bigger. What about the cost to yourself, to your soul? That can be deadly, right? So even if you think about there is a lot of research that when people retire young, and don't have anything else to do, they become much closer to death.
Yeah.
Right? But people that you can retire, but you have to have a purpose or something that still generates excitement or enthusiasm for you. My dad, God bless him, has been battling lung cancer for 7 years, and he just turned 90, and he's on fire. Now, physically, he's not like he once was, a little bit slower, but mentally, he's sharp as a tack, hasn't lost a thing.
Yeah.
And he has so much to live for. He's so pumped about what we're doing. And also my brother, my best friend, my sibling, he has 2 kids. So he has so much to be excited about. And so he wakes up every day and he's grateful, and he just turned 90. There's other people that are like dead at 40.
I know.
And they're defeated. So I just think it comes down to, this isn't the point of this conversation, guys, is to hopefully create a spark, something that triggers you in a proactive way, that there is more for you. And maybe, just maybe, a nugget that we're sharing today can help extract that next level version out of you and at least be in the pursuit of what's actually available for you.
No, that's incredible. And I loved in your book how you refer to your brother, to your dad, to all of the entire journey. What you didn't say on your marathon is that they discovered a tumor in your foot for your first. Those are all huge things to overcome. But the fact that you ran for your dad, you raised money for cancer, you did all of those things, and you're talking to me now, and I wasn't sure what his health was like, and to hear that he's kicking at 90, having a good time, enjoying his life, it's incredible. It's incredible.
I mean, look, his quality of life now as he does treatment, the particular cancer he has, something he'll always have to deal with. Someone once said to me this, it was one of my friends that I had on the podcast, and she's kind of like a psychic. And she was like, one day your dad will pass with cancer, but not of cancer.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was so beautiful at the time. But yeah, he's on fire, one of my biggest inspirations. It's a shame he couldn't be at the event, because probably just a lot for him, like 5 hours. But my mom came for the first time, got to see me in action. It was just so beautiful. So I think family, I spoke about it at the edge, but values are very important to me, especially if you're building a brand. I think everybody should be loud with their values. For me, family is extremely important.
Yeah, I love that. My mom works in my business. She's helped me every business I've had, and she's 83, and she does a lot for me, and she just is just super
awesome.
excited. Yeah, I love that. I hope I have her genes. I hope so.
Yep.
You've turned, I'm impressed by CLS. You've turned this into a global movement in less than 5 years. It is on fire, right? Most leaders and organizations want they want their teams to feel the same kind of energy. But how do you scale inspiration without losing your authenticity?
What was the first part? How do you
how do you scale inspiration in your team?
Inspiration without losing authenticity?
Yeah.
Authenticity is pretty simple. It's being yourself, unbothered or unafraid what other people are going to think. Now, just to be clear, I know that there's a lot of studies about this. As a human being, we are wired to a degree to care about what people think. Yeah. But we also have the choice are we going to let it affect us? Right? I don't think there's anybody that would rather not be liked than be hated. But the reality is, when you're authentic and you have a desire to shake things up, not everybody's going to like you.
Right.
In fact, if you get to the end of your incarnation, everybody likes you, I know for a fact that you're coming right back to do it all.
Right. Do it again.
So for me, it's quite simple. And I speak from years and years of being inauthentic and living an inauthentic life and creating this persona that I thought I needed to show up as. I don't even know for whose approval, quite frankly, but it was heavy. It was exhausting. And so when I started CLS, when I left Wall Street and I made the conscious decision to do something more meaningful with my life, though there was no guarantee, one thing I did guarantee to myself is that I would 100% be me for the first time in my life. Weird, strange, authentic, unique, all the good stuff, and maybe not so good stuff for some people. And interestingly enough, the more I began to shine my light, the more the world began to see me and doors began to open. So
And like your weirdness, like you love The Matrix and you're a movie buff, and
Totally.
that's all stuff that people can relate to.
Or maybe not, and that's okay too.
Yeah,
Right?
I
Because it's
related to it. I love it.
I know me and you are connected at the soul level, but it's you just have to have core values and not get away from them.
Yeah.
So even if you think about it, let's say you're in business, you're creating a new offer that you want to present to people and help them with. That new offer is probably going to be more expensive. And so as a result, you're probably going to be calling in a different caliber of a person compared to maybe a different offer.
Yeah.
You commit to it, that's the direction you're going, you're evolving, done. Then all of a sudden, someone comes up to you and like, hey, I really want the old offer. Do you still have that? I really want to do it. And you're thinking, I don't want to leave money on the table.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have it right here. I know I said I was going in that direction, but that's misalignment. You're sending a mixed signal to the universe. There's competing desires there, right? So if you say that you're evolving and you're growing, you have to stay authentic to that, claim your position, and then the universe doesn't just take notice. It rearranges itself to meet you. So you just have to make a commitment to yourself that as you begin to grow, maybe not every decision you make is going to be quote unquote correct. I don't like to think of good or bad, right or wrong, but at least stay true for you. And I think if you're committed to that, it's relatively easy.
Huh. Well, that's a light bulb moment for me. So thank you. I'm sure for the rest of the audience as well.
That's what I'm here for.
I want to talk about the middle managers too. We have a lot of mid-level managers who don't have a lot of decision making, but they have a lot of influence in companies with the people that are frontline employees, which I think are the most important people in the organizations, but I digress. If you could give one piece of advice to a mid-level manager, someone who's in a company who wants to become a movement builder in their company, what advice would you give to someone?
A mid-level manager that wants to shake things up and become a needle mover.
Yeah.
I would, if I was them, I would go up to whoever it is that my boss is, and I would ask for a meeting. And I would say, hey, love being here, love everything that's happening. I really align with the company. I have a big desire to grow within the organization. I would love to be able to do this and that and get to this level. What would it take for me to do that? And just hear them out. See what they say. Just have a conversation. I think there's such power in being transparent and communicating articulately and effectively. Because maybe the boss says, not right now, you're in that role, but here's what you could do, or here's what you can plan for. And so now you have a path, a goal, so to speak, and now you've let people know and you put it on blast that you have a big desire to grow and you're willing to do whatever is required of you and then some. You also have some great ideas that you want to bring to the table. So I think just being transparent and having that desire and putting it out there so that you have something to build for. In fact, if there are employees at your company and they're not approaching you, if you're a boss, that's a concern because where's the desire?
Yeah. Or where's the approachability? How do you, as a manager, what's your approachability? What kind of are you allowing them, right, to come in?
Good point. Yeah. I remember one time an employee asked me for a raise and it was so small that I was disappointed and I let him know about it. I was like, why are you thinking so small? Like, that's it? And then like, oh, like that was just enough.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a money thing. It was more like, why don't you bring me something that can create a lot more impact? And as a result, as an energetic exchange, you can also make a lot more money. I want to see that desire. Worst case scenario, we say, no, not right now. Right. Or this is what I want to see from you. I think desire is huge.
That's so true. You got to want it to and go for it and have those conversations because people can't read your mind.
And also, because we study this a lot in the wisdom of Kabbalah, which you know is very important to me. I'm a student and a mentor. I would just say this for everybody listening. If you don't have the desire that you would like to have, or even just listening to this conversation is triggering you a bit, could you at least have the desire to have the desire? And that's something we can actually awaken.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. All right. Hopefully people are getting the nuggets. I certainly am. I'm inspired today. This has been great. But I've got a rapid fire reinvention round for you.
Oh, goodness. I'm on the
Are you ready?
time. I'm ready.
You're ready. Okay. One book besides yours and mine, every leader must read.
Probably not the answer you were thinking of because it's more consciousness, but The Secret.
The Secret. Yeah. I knew you were going to say that. I knew it's true. Awesome. Okay. The biggest lie employees tell themselves.
I'm limited in my current role.
Okay. Awesome. Your non-negotiable morning ritual.
Ooh, that beautiful, warm, spiritual cup of coffee.
Love
So
it.
much more than just a cup of coffee, by the way.
Love it. One metric CLS uses to measure cultural health.
Cultural health,
Yeah, in companies.
enthusiasm about what we're doing.
Okay. That's huge.
Yeah.
How do you measure that?
You can get a vibe. You can read people's energy. Are they just clocking it in? Are they just doing what they think is their job? Or are they genuinely enthusiastic, connected, aligned, and excited about what we're doing here? For me,
Okay.
non-negotiable.
Love it. Yeah, obviously it has to be, right? If you could coach any leader in history, I do not want to talk about today's leaders, any leader in history, who would it be and why?
If I could coach them,
yeah.
Wow. Really want to give you a thoughtful answer here. I'd like to coach Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Why?
I just love that guy very much, very inspired by him. And I think there's also a little bit more that he can tap into and connect to that can just raise the overall product that is Arnold.
Very cool. Very cool. Thank you for answering those questions. Those are the Sandy questions, and everyone loves them or hates them. Either way.
I think they're great. I love them. I would keep doing them and maybe even continue to switch them up just so nobody knows what's coming. They're awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Good icebreakers too.
They're different every time, for sure. It depends on who we have coming on here. But Craig, this has been just electric. It's been such a great conversation. You've given a masterclass in reinvention, leadership, and helping younger leaders figure out how to build cultures and helping them to thrive in their careers. Before we go, can you tell our audience exactly how to connect with you, how they can grab the reinvention formula and join your movement?
Yeah. So first of all, thank you so much for having me. It was an awesome conversation. And on a personal level, I love getting to know you more and more. And I really like your soul and your heart. In regards to us, go to our website, anywhere you buy books, the Reinvention Formula, anywhere you listen to podcasts, the CLS Experience, on social media at Craig Siegel _CLS. We have our next event, March 5th. We sold out early for the last one. It's very important to me. I'm very passionate about it because I know how special and transformational it is for everybody to have an opportunity to be in the room. So we have an early bird available now. You can get that on the website or just reach out. And if you like free inspirational nuggets throughout the week, you could text us at 917-634-3796. Totally free. We share some wisdom. Just text the name Sandra so I know that you heard it here.
Yeah, love it.
I thought that was my dog, but it's yours.
Yeah, it was my dog. It was, yes.
I'm surprised he didn't trigger mine to get going. What kind of dog?
She is a Beagle Dachshund Hound mix. She's about 20 years old.
Are you serious?
She's an old girl. We love her.
20?
Yeah.
That's amazing. You do have good genes in your family.
I know. Right? Yeah. Gosh. So that's great. Listeners, if this episode lit a fire under you, here's your action steps. Grab the Reinvention Formula. We'll have the link below in the notes. Download our People Profit Workbook. It's packed with exercises that you can apply today's insights to as well. And tag this episode on LinkedIn. Craig, thank you so much for bringing the heat. Leaders, remember, your people are your profit. Invest in them and watch your legacy grow. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks. That's a wrap on this episode of the People Profit Podcast. If you found a nugget of wisdom or even just a spark of inspiration, share the love, subscribe, leave us a review, and pass the episode along to a colleague who's ready to build a people-first culture. Big thanks to our sponsor, Human Power Solutions, for championing workplace where humans thrive and profits rise. Want to learn how they can energize your team? Head over to hpowersolutions.com to get started. I'm Sandra Coker, reminding you that when you invest in people, you invest in profit. See you next time.